How's it going, everybody? Vic Ranger here. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite books of the Bible. These are the books that I constantly go back to, that I really enjoy to read. Of course, I like reading the whole Bible, but I love these books more than the others. So I'm going to talk about them today. If you guys are new around here or you haven't done it yet, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you do subscribe, please share this video with as many people as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless, and have a great day. Now, before we get started, I guess I should give some honorable mentions that I like, but didn't quite make the cut. First up is the Book of Genesis. Gotta love the reading about the beginning. Gotta love reading about the flood of Noah. Good to know about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Love to hear it. Next up, we have 1st and 2nd Samuel. Always love hearing about the rise and fall of King David. Very cool, very good to listen to his story, and yeah. Next up, we have the Book of Deuteronomy. I do like the Book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy serves as Moses' goodbye message. Moses ends up whipping up the Israelites into shape before they go into the Promised Land, and basically tells them goodbye. And yeah. Next up, we have the Book of Isaiah. And finally, we have the Book of Acts. I love these books, and but these guys just did not make the cut. But time to get to the actual list. At number 5, we have the Book of Psalms. I love the Book of Psalms because the Book of Psalms is, well, if you don't know, the Book of Psalms is the David's turmoil. A lot of Psalms is basically a I'm sorry message to God, and also a love you letter to God. He's after his big mess up, after his big sin, where God calls him out and tells him that he committed adultery and basically killed his own most faithful soldier in cold blood just to cover up his sin. After that, while God did not give away his kingship, he lost pretty much everything else. He lost his status. A lot of people lost respect. A lot of his people lost respect for him. His women were no longer loyal to him, and for the rest of his life, he will live in that shame of what he did. And a lot of the Psalms deal with his depression over this. And constantly ask God to kill him or let him die, basically. And the other half is him praising God and loving God, and it's quite beautiful how strong his faith is while he's writing the Book of Psalms. I think Psalms shows just how much he's learned from his mistake and how big his heart still was. Like, even though he made a great mistake, even though he messed up bad, he's still the man after God's own heart. The next book, number 4, is the book of Exodus. Book of Exodus. I love reading about. The book of Exodus is very interesting because, well, yes, Genesis is probably the greatest feat. Is the greatest showing of, God's great power, like creating the entire cosmos, Noah's flood, Sodom and Gomorrah. But I think the book of one reason why I like the book of Exodus is because it shows us what God's true nature, what God is like, opposed to any other god in all of human history, and what other gods pale in comparison, and proves them by outplaying them all. Like the 10 plagues of Egypt, like half of them are plagues that Baal and Dagon are able to do, and he outplays them with their own game. And then God does things that they can't even do, like spawn locusts, cause darkness to fall over Egypt, and kill all the firstborn sons out of and all natural needs. And then through Moses the Exodus itself is very interesting, like splitting the to get away from Pharaoh and his hardness of his heart. They travel all the way. They traveled through the Red Sea. God splits the Red Sea in half so the Israelites can safely go across it. And that's crazy. And then, of course, we get the 10 Commandments. We also receive, for the first time in the Bible, God's true name, which, if you don't know, God's true name is Yahweh, which translate into English, I am that I am. Which, yeah. Number 3 of my favorite books of the Bible. Gotta have one of the Gospels in here, but this is by far my favorite Gospel, the Gospel of John. Now, the Gospel of John is my favorite Gospel because, well, it's kind of a funny reason. First off, I love his boldness. He goes off right out of the gate and tells us plainly that Jesus is the Word of God, the literal Son of God. And the others kind of keep you kind of guessing into who he is until after he resurrects, and then they tell you plainly that this man was the Son of God. But John starts out right from the gate. He is the Son of God, and then spends the rest of his gospel explaining why his point, getting his point across. And then at the end of his gospel, he tells us that Jesus has done so much in his time on earth that if he were to write them all down, the world does not have that much paper to write on. Meaning there's so much more that Jesus did on earth that we don't even know about. And John is basically telling us that it's impossible to tell you, and also telling us that I wish you could have seen it for yourself. And yes, I wish I could see more. He leaves you with wanting more out of it. And even though all the Gospels give a lot of information about Jesus, probably the most, and I would have to say that it's probably the most important information that we have, there was so much more that we're missing. And honestly, it's probably a mystery. It's one of those mysteries of Christianity that won't be answered until, you know, when you meet until until I meet Jesus in heaven, which can't wait for that. That's one of the questions that I'll ask Jesus once I get into heaven is what what information are missing? What teachings does the Bible not have? What miracles and kind-heartedness that are missing? And yeah. Now, number 2 of my favorite books in the Bible is the Book of Job. First thing is that it's kind of a strange place. The Bible kind of sets his book in it's definitely the oldest book in the Bible according to the experts, and because it's an older Hebrew than the other Old Testament. Now, I'm not sure exactly when this is taking place, but my rough estimate is that it's between the era of Joseph and Moses' birth. Because, well, after Joseph's death and Moses' birth. Because it says that Job is on earth. While he's on earth, God calls Job a man with which no one can come close to. Like, his righteousness, his good-hearted, no one comes close. He's the most righteous man of the time. So that would mean that Joseph is dead and Moses wasn't either wasn't in his role yet, or he wasn't even born yet. I also briefly mentioned why this is my favorite book. My second favorite book. Now, I will, in the far, far future, make a dedicated video to the Book of Job. But, in short, I think, one, it's the most, harshly interpreted. It's not its fault because of what it's bringing to the table, because, well, God is putting a man against the devil. Now, it might seem bad, but this guy is more righteous than anyone. He's one of the most righteous people of all time. Like, no one today will ever be able to come close to that much righteousness and faith. Like, people need to understand that God will never put us up against just a random person up against the devil. Another thing that people need to understand is that Job is the Book of Job. The main message of the Book of Job to me is that life is unfair, but God is fair, and we shouldn't get them too mixed up. That because at the end of the day, if you put your trust completely in God, what's going to stop you? Like, yes, like, nothing can go in between you and God, and that is true. But yeah, the Book of Job is simply, in simple terms, God is fair, the world isn't. Trust in me. That's what it means. Now, my favorite book of the entire Bible, number 1 is Revelations. Now, you might be saying, are you crazy? That's probably the most, like, harshest, you're right. Like, it's kind of hard to fathom how much prophecy will be, and And, you know, yeah, it's it's craziness, but the main point of the Book of Revelations is the fulfillment of God's promise, the fulfillment of Jesus, God's promise to come back. Jesus said at the end of the Book of Acts, at the beginning of the Book of Acts, that he'll come back. He's gonna come back. No, yeah. He said that he's coming back. He's going to prepare a place for you and me. But he's coming back one day. That's what he promised. And that's in the Book of Revelations, is him fulfilling that promise to come back. And yes, there's a lot of people who are mixed about the prophecies and what's going to happen and when exactly he's coming back, even though we don't know the day or hour, and we never will. But God delivers his promise to come back and to finally put it into this cursed, sinful world. And yeah. And also, I just like knowing how our story ends, how everything is going to come to a good close, and it's good to know that, well, in a weird way, also, Revelations to me shows God's love and mercy the most, because it says in the book of Daniel, at the end of the book of Daniel, he says that blessed are those who endure until the very end. And I think that's the purpose, is when you make it to the very end, oh, the reward will be great. I pray I do. I pray I have that much faith. I pray that God, that I will have the faith to endure until the end. And these 5 books in particular speak to me the most, because one, they all speak to me in different ways. Like David speaking to the heart, through the heart. And if you're dealing with if you're dealing with your own depression and turmoil of all things that you've done, trust in God and he'll put you through. Book of Exodus, trust God, again, trust in God and everything will come through. Revelations, these all speak to me because these express the most love of God possible, and really shine. These 5 books all speak to me and are an awesome display of God's character, God's love, God's mercy, and God's promises and the fulfillment of those promises. These books shows us that trust in Him, nothing can come against you. He'll lead us through the Egypt. He'll get us out of depressions, and He'll lead us through Egypt. He'll lead us out of Egypt. He would reward us for the turmoil that we go through. He leaves you with wanting more information, and he gives you certainty of his return in Revelations. These are the reasons why these books are my favorite books of the Bible. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys are new around here or you haven't done it yet, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you do subscribe, please share this video with as many people as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless and have a great day.